thank you for visiting the Gods of Semen channel. I'm shorturl.at, an expert in spirituality and personal growth with years of knowledge on how seminal retention can help us realize our full potential. I understand that a lot of you struggle with a lack of drive, enthusiasm and purpose. Trust me, I've been there myself. One effective strategy for overcoming these obstacles is seminal retention, which offers greater balance, vitality and focus. This is a crucial warning. I will only respond to inquiries from people who give a thanks message that exceeds $5, giving preference to those who contribute the most. Supporting the channel isn't enough. You also need to assist YouTube spread the word about this technique to other males who should be aware of it. Keep watching this video through to the finish because I'll be sharing important knowledge and insights that can significantly accelerate your spiritual, mental and physical development. Are you prepared for this change? Let's get started. I, shorturl, realize how this cycle of repetition throughout the days can subtract us vitality and lead us to a state of exhaustion that is not limited to the body, but sets out deeply in the spirit, generating a sense of disconnection that often seems to have no end, as if something precious had been lost or sleeping within us. And it is in this panorama that I reflect on how much the impulse is to be present. Because I cannot be present, because I cannot be ignored, because I cannot ignore it, because I cannot get something greater present. The eagerness to rediscover that spark of motivation that used to illuminate my way and that, over time, lost some of the force, perhaps suffocated by the routine and constant pressure of everyday life. And it is precisely the moment I feel the need to explore spiritual and transformative practices that can fill the meaningful gaps that have become evident in my life, and the realization of the retention of retention, that the retention of retention, that the retention of the retention, of the retention of the retention of the retention of retention, that the retention semen is one of those proposals that go beyond religious or doctrinal labels, inviting me to look inside and examine not only as I distribute my energy, but especially how I can keep it, channeling it to more noble goals and my own inner development. And I see that this kind of approach is not a mere abstention that represses desires, but in a way of resuming impulses and instincts, giving them more purpose. Highly transcends the simple search for momentary pleasure, because I notice how conscious direction can positively reflect on my mental, emotional and spiritual health. And I like to think of semen retention as a lever to reconnect to what there is more authentic in me, a bridge between my body and my spirit, because I am convinced that when we feel unloaded, it is not in harmony. And this is not in harmony, 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 and it is not in harmony. Disconnecting can affect the most diverse areas of life, such as relationships, work, self-esteem, and clarity of objectives. So I choose to see semen retention as a personal reorganization instrument, which allows me to step back and observe where the energy failures are, where I am losing automatisms, and where I can redirect my focus to self, knowledge. And in this context, I also understand how other practices, such as meditation and practices and mindfulness, can complement this process, because I believe that the combination of a more serene mind with a body that does not waste its vital reserves has the power to raise deep questions about the quality of each choice we make, from what we consume in terms of content to the forms of entertainment we prioritize. And on this journey, I feel that I rescue a kind of vigor that was hidden in some corner, and that is not physically strongly strong, or to gain superpowers, but to clearly understand my purpose, my role in the world, and recognize that the source of energy generated by sexuality can be used not only in intimate moments, but spread to all the dynamics of life, impregnating the daily tasks of a different, more inspired and more pulsating motivation. And I see how chronic tiredness and the feeling of being disconnected from their own essence can be signs of an excess. We live in a culture that encourages constant relief, immediate gratification, and the pursuit of pleasure as an exhaust valve for daily frustrations. However, as soon as I resigned my own notion of pleasure, I realized that retention would not make me apathetic, but rather more attentive to what truly satisfies me on multiple levels, from body to soul, and that meditation and cultivating spirituality is not distant spirituality. On the contrary, they give me a sense of equilibrium and direction that directs every choice I make in modern life, which makes me ask, why does life seem to be at a standstill when this inner dimension is ignored? When I become stuck with the same behaviors and desires, why do I feel that I have no genuine incentive to move on? And the answer I find is that my true inner strength lies in a combination of focus, discipline, self-awareness, and wise direction of vital energies. And this understanding is liberating because it gives me the clarity that I do not need to sink into apathy or vicious cycles of behaviors that in the end only emphasize my spirit. And I know that I am not alone in this search, because many men report this same sense of disconnection that goes beyond the body and reaches the soul. And I keep thinking how many times we go unnoticed, that something lacks adjustment, fear of facing the unknown, or because we have no time to take care of our inside. But when we neglect this part, everything else is compromised. From our relationships to the ability to feel genuine in the simple moments of everyday life. And the practice of retention of semen makes me question what is questioning me really essential, since it requires taking command of my impulses and looking at my desire with conscience, instead of getting carried away by it without any filter. And thus I find that this act of containment, far from being suffocating, expands my perception of the quality of life that I wish, and I do not need to live in the function of automatic reactions, but I can choose where I want to invest my energy, directing it to projects that make me meaning and make me evolve as a human being. And at this very point, I realize how meditation or mindfulness techniques come into play to help me maintain the presence. Because when I sit silent, observing my breath and allowing the mind to find some serenity, I realize more clearly how much the daily distractions steal me energy. And I understand that retention is not something isolated, but part of a larger gear that also involves the larger gear that also involves the larger gear, way how I manage thoughts, emotions, and habits. And in this sense, I feel that each day is an opportunity to reconnect with its own essence. And I do not see this reconnection as something mystical and unattainable, but as a rediscovery of myself, a constant remembering who I am when I am not, in the hurry of the world, or the standards that society insists on pushing. And every step of self-disposal shows me the power of power, sexual that, when properly maintained and utilized. With my most recent book, Alchemy of the Gods, you may uncover your inner strength and take your life to a new level of spirituality and personal growth. You can learn a great deal about Kundalini, crystalline oil, and genuine spiritual emancipation from this transformer guide. Every chapter offers millennial tips for raising your consciousness, clearing internal obstacles, and calling forth divine energy to accelerate your self-discovery process. Do you want to hold the pages in your hands and read in a tangible format? Do you like digital because it's more practical? Or perhaps you'd want to hear all the insights while working out or unwinding. All versions of Alchemy of the Gods are accessible, so you can explore the material that best suits your schedule. Enjoy and make sure you have a copy of the repaired comment or the description link. First of all though, I have something new that you might not have anticipated. I introduced the Semen Retention Success Path audiobook, which covers the 6 key pillars of seminal retention in greater detail than 2 hours. This is the key to regaining focus, releasing your vital energy, and attaining long-term personal development. You will be prepared to make a significant change in every aspect of your life once you have mastered these lessons. To make this opportunity even more alluring, customers who purchase the audiobook Semen Retention Success Path automatically receive a 30% discount on the art of semen retention for men, a 20-page book that offers cutting-edge methods for emotional and spiritual development, as well as the discovery of their actual life's purpose. Additionally, it joins my channel and receives special advantages like priority responses, early access to content, and more. In addition to providing benefits for you, your involvement fortifies our channel and makes it possible to provide fresh news and material. Now is the moment to take action. Get Alchemy of the Gods whatever you like. Expand your knowledge base with the audiobook Semen Retention Success Path, and take advantage of the exclusive bonus in the ebook The Art of Semen Retention for Men. To begin your transformational journey, click on the fixed comment or the description links. It opens me to deeper dimensions of personal understanding, even boosting my physical vitality and my ability to deal with challenges without succumbing toxic emotional states. And I identify with the idea that not everything is resolved immediately, but each difficulty offers a chance to grow and learn. And perhaps this is one of the great lessons that semen retention brings. The ability to deal with the waves of desire, the high and the low of desire ânimo, e ainda assim manter centro de força que não se abala facilmente. E é interessante notar como, nesse processo, me vejo mais criativo, mais apto a encontrar soluções diferentes para problemas que antes pareciam sem saída, e atribuo isso justamente à energia que antes se dispersava e agora está mais concentrada, pronta para ser direcionada a uma meta maior ou a um propósito que me anima. E sinto então uma certa esperança de que cada de nós, quando decide cuidar do próprio interior, it can rediscover a path of personal satisfaction without having to undergo a system that only values the immediate result and endless consumption of stimuli. And this hope arises because I see that, yes, there are real approaches that have been tested over many centuries in different traditions, whether focused on spiritual development or body wisdom. And all of them, more or less, point to the same place. Our energy is not precise and we should not be precious, wasting it without discretion, but taking care of it, nourishing it, cultivating it as it is with a plant that needs daily attention, water, sun, and care to grow healthy. And when I take care of this energy as a fundamental part of my being, I recover the motivation to face the changes that previously scared me. And I notice that the fear of leaving the comfort zone decreases because I feel less dependent on small, or measures that last a short life. I like emptiness, and at this point I enter a state where I start to question old beliefs, redefine goals, and have the courage to seek a more solid identity, one that is not led by external influences so easily, and also observes a positive impact on the relationships I build, because by feeling more complete in me, I do not seek constant approval, but genuine shifts that raise both, and it reflects on more, and it reflects authenticity and less conflict, because expectations are clearer, and I do not see myself hostage to shortages that could once make me act impulsively. And on the one hand, this trajectory does not eliminate all problems. On the other, shows that each challenge can be used as part of the growth process. And it is in this sense that the idea of semen retention gives me a flame of confidence, as if I had a tool to work out. So reflections on the correct use of sexual energy gain body, because every moment of weakness can teach me how to keep me firmer in the next test. And every moment when I choose to maintain this energy instead of dispersing it reminds me that my willpower can be exercised as a muscle, strengthening not only my self-control, but also my sense of purpose in life. And I realize that the emptiness that once caused me so much anguish, I see this reconnection as a response to the longing that many men in my age group experience, particularly when they encounter the feeling that something is missing but are unsure of what it is. And at those times, to recognize the value of sexual energy, to see it as a sacred component of life. It is filled not by surface level distractions, but rather with a new way of conducting one's existence, with attention, presence, care, and openness to growth. And deciding to keep it for superior purposes become liberation factors, as they break the self-sabotage programming that binds us to immediacy. And I feel grateful to realize the richness that exists when taking this path, even if it requires discipline, self-perception, and willpower. Because it is on this ground that the real chance of personal and spiritual expansion and becoming more and more than the maintenance of this interior force in the whole body improves the disposition, balances mood, and even favors mental clarity to make decisions more aligned with what truly makes sense to me. And I also understand that it is not about repressing impulses, but of directly directing them, experiencing a freedom of choice that I did not have before. And this sense of freedom motivates me, brings me the mood to explore meditation methodologies, to plunge into readings of my personality and to illuminity of my personality, cultivating a healthier routine in general. And I see that this initial step, which is failing to face semen retention as something retrograde or unfounded, ends up opening doors for a new perception of the world, where every detail of everyday life becomes an opportunity for evolution. And then surprisingly, as after a while, that diffused tiredness that was hunted to go beyond, as if I had found an internal source that supplies me. And at that moment, I remember how much I underestimate my own regeneration and rejoice in recognizing that most of the time we only lack knowledge and confidence to begin with. Since we realize that the gains are real and tangible, and the tiredness that once stifled me is replaced by serene enthusiasm. An enthusiasm that does not depend on external factors. And I feel like this and feel that it. Chapter of my life focused on the rediscovery of who I am marks one before and after, because it is not a punctual technique to solve a specific problem, but a whole lifestyle that welcomes the essence of man as a complex being with physical, emotional, and spiritual needs that deserve to be nourished. And this understanding encourages me not to give up, even when I know obstacles, because I know that I am building a solid base from which I can grow consistently. And that's where the feeling of emptiness is diluted with the perception that there is a greater purpose for my existence, and that every step in this path brings me closer to a version of myself that I admire and respect. Have you ever considered how many chances you still miss because of bad habits that sap your vitality and weaken your inner fortitude? Maybe this is the crucial element that distinguishes those who continue to stagnate from those who eventually discover the path to real change. Watch the suggested video next door, subscribe to the channel, and leave a like if you're searching for a definitive turn. Your path to growth starts now.